you're somebody who over explains anything every time you're going to share your food with somebody who's not necessarily in your household, please come to the front. If you have the tendency to over explain as you're sharing your beloved dish or baked goods with other people, I have some words for you. But before, let me tell you a story. Promise, you'll get it. So I baked some banana bread and cupcakes. And because I didn't want to have all of it, I reached out to my friend and my neighbor to ask if they wanted some. And they said yes. So I was like, great. But when I looked at the message I sent in inviting them to it, I recognized I said, even though they are slightly overbaked, as if me explaining that is me preemptively preparing myself for them to tell me it's terrible or they don't like it. And I realized in that moment that I'm over explaining. It might seem very simple, but you might find yourself doing this in other situations. I have. And so it was an aha moment for me, and I thought I would share this with you. Because how quick are we to criticize our own selves? You can apply this to your own food, or you could apply this to anything in your life, whether you're a business owner, parent. You can apply this if you're somebody who over explains things, but you're always very critical of yourself, more so than anyone is of you. And it's also kind of human nature, but I'm talking specifically about us who over explain things. Because if you look at it, you've gone into a grocery store or supermarket that sells baked goods, or a bakery shop, and have bought goods, baked goods that were a lot overbaked, maybe even not so well baked. But the point is, you've had it and paid for it in places that are supposedly professional. And granted, I'm not asking my neighbors to pay for it. This is being free. But even if I was, my point here is me over explaining that it's slightly overbaked. Is me preparing myself to hear that it sucked. But the question is, so what if it did suck? What then? As somebody who used to, if not, I'm not necessarily, not that it doesn't happen anymore, but as someone who is sensitive to rejection and criticism, or was, it can be a little jarring. So I would expect my past behavior is such that I would over explain in hopes of not getting that criticism or rejection. But it does happen. So what if it did? All that would be feedback. Because ultimately, at least in this case, I'm going to use this case specifically, me sharing my goods, my baked goods, or my cooking is more than me just giving the food to somebody else for them to criticize. It's not even about that. To them is what matters. To them, put differently, it's how it's received by them that matters. Because in this instance, one, they didn't have to go look for dessert, because that's what my neighbor told me. She's like, great, I won't have to go figure out something for dessert, because they were feeling for something dessert and I would have to go back on the road. Two, that I thought of them was the gesture that they found kind and very thoughtful. And to me, that's beautiful. The fact that I thought of someone else, as in they thought that in me thinking of them, that's very kind. And I tend to think I'm a kind person, but more so, I didn't want to waste food. So there's also that. I hate to waste food, and I knew I was not going to have all of the cupcakes or the banana bread that I made. Me and my husband is just two of us, and I don't want to waste food. So offering it to others is going to be my next best thing. I do this whenever I shoot recipes as well. I will offer it to others. So the idea that I need to over explain is not even something that I was aware of until I was made aware of it a couple years ago. In fact, not even that far along. I'd probably say 2 to 3 years ago. the tendency to over explain things. And now that I'm aware of it, I look for the opportunities where I can catch myself, redirect myself. So instead of doing that over explaining thing, I pause. So instead, I will probably do next time say, this is what I have. I thought of you. Would you like some? And leave it there. And that's my invitation to you. Next time you find yourself about to over explain when you're going to share something, and again, this goes also back to the perfectionist tendencies, if you have them, and people who tend to over explain tend to also have those perfectionist tendencies. And why we over explain, I do not know. I know this is connected to being neurodivergent, but I don't know exactly why. I'm just sharing my experience. Right, so I'm saying the tendency to over-explain is connected to being a perfectionist and wanting things to be very perfect and, a certain way. And if it's not, then it's less than. If it's not, it's a stain on you. When it is simply you being human in the process of, improving your craft or just taking care of things in a certain way, you're going to have moments when you have an overbaked set of muffins, or maybe an underbaked banana bread. Not that this one was, but my point is mistakes will be made, errors will be made, and what's important is what you do when you get the feedback that the errors were made. In this instance, with the cupcakes being overbaked, slightly overbaked, if I get the feedback that they were dry, then it's confirmation that to me they were overbaked, and therefore as a result of being overbaked tended to dry out a little bit. That's feedback. So it's for me to pay attention next time. Even though I had a timer, I just stepped away. Anyways, it's feedback. So if somebody came back and said it was terrible to them, then that's also feedback. It means they did not like this. Doesn't mean that everybody's not going to like it. It just means it wasn't for them. And you could apply this to anything, not just this instance of baking cupcakes or a banana bread, but you could apply it to your business. You could apply it to your relationships. People will not always validate your perfectionism. That's the best way I can put it. So you have to let them, their word or their opinion is their opinion. You can't let that determine what you choose to do or not do. And one of the things I've been learning along this journey of, I guess, being older is someone else's opinion is not a reflection of your worth. Or someone else's opinion of your work is not a reflection of your worth. And I've done a lot of that work as it relates to my body, coming from the nutrition and dieting space, where the way my body changed, or whenever my body changed, and somebody said something about it, then to me, it used to be a reflection of my worth. Even though I didn't have the words for it at the time, but it's the same concept here, that my body changing does not mean my worth did. Bodies change, your worth doesn't. I actually have a shirt that says that. I wore it, I think, the last video or last two videos. And so someone else's opinion is their opinion. I have no control over that. I only have control over what I do. So me sharing this with you, my over-explainers and over-sharers, is to say the next time you find yourself about to over-explain, no matter how simple it is, over-explaining is over-explaining. If you're sharing something from the goodness of your heart, if you're sharing a meal, if you're sharing some baked goods, if you're, giving somebody some flowers from your garden, if you are, you put some craft together and you're sharing it with somebody else, the point there is avoid preparing yourself for the worst and instead prepare yourself for the best. And I know it sounds cliche, but I'm going to say it anyway. What's the best thing that can happen when you share this with somebody? I stated it before. You can brighten somebody else's day. You never know what someone is going through, and you just, through the act of sharing, you are, showing compassion. You're showing kindness to somebody else, and who knows if they need it. Sharing food is always something that people will appreciate, because it means that they don't have to want for a meal, or they don't need to go out and buy some desserts. It's the thought that also counts. So anytime you find yourself about to over-explain, stop. Say, I made some cupcakes. I'm going to use this example again. And I thought of you. Would you like some? Leave it there. What happens after that is not up to you. If they say yes, great. Come and get it, or I can drop it off. If they say no, no problem. You move on. Whether you choose to freeze it and save it for another day for yourself, which is an option, or put it in the compost. If you don't like wasting food, then that's a battle we have to face every day. You will be fine. You will 100% be fine. And this is a practice also that you have to continue doing. Practice not over explaining, but also it's a way of training your brain and body that you are safe. So even if somebody tells you no, or somebody rejects it, or somebody criticizes it, you are training that muscle of, I can handle whatever that criticism is. I can handle rejection. I can move on. It's not the end of the world. We have to do these little tricks so that our brain gets up to speed, right? And our bodies also feel safe to approach other people or to share, continue sharing. You don't let somebody's opinion or your idea that somebody will criticize, what you're sharing with them, don't let that stop you from sharing. So maybe they're not the right person to share with. You can find somebody else to share with. Okay, so again, my over explainers, stop. And try it just one moment at a time. You don't have to say, maybe doing it with everything might be hard. Start with one thing. And again, I'm going to use my example of sharing my cupcakes, those slightly overbaked. Instead of me saying those slightly overbaked, I'm just going to say I'm sharing my cupcakes. Simple as that, right? So I hope that encouraged you today. Apply this to not just your cooking, but also as a perfectionist, know that you will make mistakes, and the mistakes are the things that help you perfect the craft, get better at it, so that you can recognize when you overbake something and when it's underbaked, when you need to back off the time. This is how you develop mastery, right? So that's a little diversion, but my point here is you will be fine. Stop over explaining. Okay, we can do that. I promise I'll continue to practice that if you continue to practice the same thing. Okay. All right, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, don't forget to subscribe to the weekly dose for your weekly dose of nourishing meal ideas and cooking insights.